So last week I sanded and stained a door, and while I was doing the staining I realized how much I actually don't know about stain. Like, what's the difference between oil versus water-based stain, how do different types of wood pick up different colors, and what kind of wood should I use for my project. So I discovered a lot and I want to share that with you. If you like DIY and design, go ahead and click subscribe below because I've got a lot of great tutorials coming your way. In this video, we'll talk about how to apply stain, the difference between oil-based and water-based, 4 common types of wood that you're probably using at home for your project, as well as 4 popular colors of stain that would work great for most people. So a quick blurb about sanding and staining. When you're sanding, I recommend starting with an 80 grit sandpaper, then progressing to 120 and then 220. This is the order that I always sand in. You definitely want to use wood conditioner before you stain. Wood conditioner allows the stain to soak in evenly so you don't get a blotchy finished product. When you apply stain, you can use pretty much anything you have on hand. You can use an old rag, a t-shirt, a brush, a foam brush. It really doesn't matter. When you apply the stain, you can go with or against the grain, but when you wipe off the excess, you do want to go with the grain. So let's talk about the difference between oil and water-based stains. Let's start with oil-based stains. Oil-based stains take longer to dry. That means you have more working time, meaning you can achieve a more even of a coat. The downside is it takes about 2 to 4 hours to dry, so if you're impatient like me, that could be a hindrance to completing your project in a day. They have a really strong smell. Water-based stains don't. Oil-based stains soak really deep into the wood, which could offer more protection if your wood is going to be exposed to the elements. Oil-based stains are also really great for flooring. With oil-based stains, you will need mineral spirits to clean it up. Water-based stains are more environmentally friendly. They also don't have a really strong odor. They dry quickly in 1 to 2 hours, which could be great if you want to finish your project quickly. Also, you don't have to use mineral spirits to clean it up. It just cleans up with soap and water. So if you don't like the way that your stain turned out, all you need to do is wipe it down and start all over again. Now let's talk about 4 different types of wood that you might have at home: poplar, birch, pine, and oak. Poplar is a utility wood typically used to make pallets or for framing furniture. It is a wood that has green undertones. I don't think it really absorbs stain all that well, but if you plan on painting it after, it could be a cheap wood for your project. Poplar is a soft wood, which means it's prone to denting or scratching, but it's still really strong. Pine is a whitish wood with yellow undertones and dark knots. It's good for making furniture because it's pretty light. It also is a softer wood, making it prone to denting or scratching. Birch has pink tones and a natural warm color. It doesn't absorb dark stain well, and if it's exposed to the elements, it can decay over time. It is a hard wood though. White oak is one of my favorites. It has neutral undertones. It's great for outdoor furniture because it can resist decay in the weather. It's also a really hard wood, meaning that it's great if you have kids or pets. White oak also absorbs a range of stains really well. Let's talk about the varying degrees of hardness of woods. Some super smart scientists created something called the Genka Scale. Basically, the Genka Scale tells you how resistant wood is to denting. So the higher the number, the more durable and strong the wood is. So oak has a really high number at 1620, makes it a pretty hard wood. Pine and poplar are softer woods with lower Genka Scale numbers. So now to the fun part, how is the stain gonna look on your wood? So I was gonna do this whole big thing and get a bunch of different types of wood and a bunch of different types of stain and show you exactly how each type of wood absorbs the color of the stain. But I found this really great blog by Chris Loves Julia, so that is what I'm gonna reference next, and you should definitely check that out. They did a really, really great job. I'll put the link below. So let's look at 4 different types of stain: Minwax, Simply White, Golden Pecan, Golden Oak, and Dark Walnut. In the pictures, you'll see that the lower halves of the wood look different than the top halves. That's because they used wood conditioner on the bottom halves, so you could compare what the different stains look like with and without wood conditioner. Minwax Simply White is what I'm going to be using on my white oak. It really softened the tones of the wood, but you can still see the grain really well. For the poplar, you can see hints of green, and the birch turned pink. Golden Pecan is a mid-range stain, meaning it's not too light and it's not too dark. It has red undertones if you like that. As you can see, the white oak and the red oak absorb the stain beautifully. Golden Oak is also middle of the road in terms of darkness and is less red than the Golden Pecan. You can see how blotchy the birch turned out and how the pine didn't really change too much at all. Dark Walnut is a deep tone stain, and the halves of the wood with the wood conditioner took on just a hint of red undertone. The poplar took on a super dark tone, and you can see the birch and pine look blotchy and didn't absorb well either. So what did you notice in all of these photos? The pieces of oak turned out beautifully with all of the stains. That is one of the reasons why I am choosing oak for my project. Pine and birch didn't work well with the darker stains, and poplar often took on green tones and had some really accentuated dark spots. So big takeaway is definitely sand and pre-condition your wood. Also, test the stain. As you can see, different types of wood absorb the stain differently. Go ahead and get creative, mix up a couple different stains. Yes, you can do that. Create your own custom look and let me know how you use it. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And also, if you like DIY and design, go ahead and subscribe below. I've got a lot of great stuff coming your way. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.